Here we are with red, the on-crop invader. Red and 2 for a 2/2. As long as your turn, it has first strike. Pay 1, sacrifice another creature. On-crop invader gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So 2/2 first striker on your turn with some random upside. I'm happy to give this a 2, maybe a 2.5 if I was feeling frisky. I don't think this is a limited 3.5, not at all. I think a 2.5 would be generous, but fine. It is very hard to block in combat, and that's the thing that it goes for it. So, when in doubt, give it a limited 2.5. I mean, 2.5 is completely average, right? Blind Blast, red and 2, instant, deals 1 damage to target creature. That creature can't block this turn. Draw a card. I suppose the question is, how many 1-toughness creatures are there in this format? The can't block clause is probably irrelevant, but it does cycle. I'm gonna give this a 1.5. I don't think it's very good. I think it might be fine. Sideboard for sure, but nothing impressive. Bolt Bend, red and 3 instant. This spell costs 3 less to cast if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. Change the target of target spell or ability with a single target. Alright, well, unlikely to make any waves in standard. And honestly, kind of poopy in limited as well. You're going to want to run this just to try to get somebody sometime, but usually it's going to be bad. Bond of Passion, red 4. Gain control of a target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. Bond of Passion deals 2 damage to any other target. This is so expensive. It's so close to very good, but I think it's not. I think it's like a 1.5, maybe a 2. Maybe a 2. It's just so expensive. Like, the Act of Treason effect doesn't seem that great. If it dealt... How much? I think if it dealt 4 damage to any target, it would be quite good. 3 damage, probably decent, but 6 mana, 2 damage plus Act of Treason feels so bad, so I'm gonna give this a 1.5, and that's at its very best. It's just the mana requirement is so much. So much. Burning Prophet, red and 1 for a 1/3. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn, then scry 1. Okay, so this is better than that bird. The bird only got +1/+0. This could actually have some constructed viability, although it's very unlikely to. I'm gonna give it a 2 though. Well, maybe at 1.5. This is like potential. Although unlikely. Limited. Two tops. The scry is nice. It's like slightly better than a bear, which I would give a 1.5. But I don't think I'm comfortable giving this anything higher than a 2. Combat tricks or instant speed effects are where this would really gain its edge. So, just gonna give it a 2. Chain Whip Cyclops, red and 4 for a 4/4. Target creature can't block this turn for 4 mana. 4 mana 4. Oh, sorry, it is a 5 mana. Never mind. I lied. 5 mana 4/4. I wonder how good that ability is. The ability is very expensive, so it feels like you're very unlikely to use it more than once in any given turn, maybe twice if you're lucky. If the requirement on its activated ability was, say, 2 mana, I would be more comfortable giving this like a 2.5. I think it's fine to run one of these in your deck for late game, but it's a good mana sink if nothing else, but again, it's just very expensive, so 2 or a 2.5, thereabouts, that range I think would be fine for this card. Chandra, Fire Artisan, red 2, 4 loyalty. Whenever one or more loyalty counters are removed, she deals that much damage to target opponent or planeswalker, okay? Exile the top card of your library, you may play it this turn. For +1. -7, exile the top 7 cards of your library, you may play them this turn. Notably, you have to still do all of their mana requirements. 4 mana, I don't think she's actually going to be too good in Constructed. It's like a 1.5, maybe a 2 in Constructed. I don't think she's going to see that much play. She's like a weird, what's that enchantment called? I don't even remember what the enchantment called. Anyways, for limited, she's still a planeswalker and she still does get value. She's going to require an answer. I think I'm fine giving her a 3, right? Thank you, Outpost Siege is the card I was looking for. I think I'm fine giving her a 3 in limited. No, she's certainly not a 4. She doesn't protect herself. She does get some card advantage and she does require an answer eventually, whether through attacks or removal, but sure, if they attack her, she triggers, but she doesn't deal damage to creatures. She only does it to the opponent or planeswalker, so that I don't think that's good enough. That doesn't, I don't consider that protection. If she could deal damage to to creatures with her static ability, then she'd be good. Certainly much better, but I think just a 2 is fine. Or sorry, rather 3. Her Pyro Helix now. This is also a reprint. Just a solid limited spell. Content to give it a 2.5 as it's good. And remember, you can still do this to players or planeswalkers as well, but the 2 damage is normally not going to kill more than 1 creature. Maybe 2 if you're very, very lucky. So. Her Triumph, Chandra's Triumph, red in 1 instant, deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. Chandra's Triumph deals 5 damage to that permanent instead if you control a Chandra planeswalker. So, another red removal spell. Is this going to see constructed play? 3 damage. It actually, since this does it to a planeswalker, this might see more constructed play. I'm going to give this a 2 in constructed. In limited, hard to go better than that rate, honestly. 3 damage for 2 mana, instant speed. I mean, maybe 3.5 is a little bit high. Maybe 3 is better, but yeah. Yeah, maybe constructed is a better as a 1 or a 1.5. I'm fine with that. Limit, I think 3 is just perfectly where she wants to be. Cyclops, Electromancer, what the heck? 5 mana, 4/2. When it enters the battlefield, it does X damage to target creature an opponent controls, where X is the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. Man, I always want this card to be good, and it has a very high potential, but I feel like normally it's not going to be what you want. I mean, this really depends on deck, of course, but I think baseline is a 2, and then sometimes it's good enough for like a 2.5 or a 3. If you're doing 3 damage, it's worth it, but how many instants and sorceries do you normally run in your limited decks? That's the question. And I don't think the answer is more than 4 or 5, which means you probably haven't drawn, all of them anyways, so you might be doing 1 or 2 damage. You would need a lot of instants and sorceries to make this really effective. Right, but that's the thing. Is it going to kill something that frequently? And maybe it is. As long as there are enough small creatures, but don't think I'm going to give it higher than a 2.5 at its very best. Demolish! Nice! Nice! Alright, let's just move on to the next one. Devouring Hellion, red and 2 for a 2/2. As it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice any number of creatures and or planeswalkers. If you do, it enters with twice that many 1/1 counters on it instead. Oh, interesting. I actually like these type of cards. I don't think I'm gonna give it higher than a 2.5, but if you just sack like one amass token, makes it a 4/4? 2.5, and this is generous. This is generous. That was definitely not Flame Tongue. Dreadhorde Arcanist, red and 1 for a 1/3 trampler. Wait, whenever it attacks, you may cast target instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost less than or equal to its power from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. I mean, this is a constructed card. This is definitely not a limited card. 2.5? Wait. Like, I don't see this being good, honestly. I feel like this is just a 1 across the board. I don't think it's insane. Sure, but then you're running Sure Strike in your deck. I don't know, man. It's a constructed build around for sure. And in limited, I think it's just terrible. I'm gonna give it a 2, and that's the highest I'm willing to go. That's the highest I'm willing to go. I hope somebody breaks it and I'm proven wrong, but it probably will cease play in standard. Yeah, not good enough for me. All right, red 3/2/2. Amass 2 when it enters. Zombie tokens you control have trample. So it's just like Call the Cavalry or whatever. No constructed viability, but I'm not gonna give it a 3. But this is a fine card. Yeah, this is 4 power and 4 toughness for 4 mana spread over multiple creatures. And I don't think the trample is going to be super relevant, but it's good stats for limited. Finale of Promise, red X. You may cast up to 1 target instant card and or up to 1 target sorcery card from your graveyard, each with converted mana cost. If X is 10 or more, this seems bad. This seems bad. This seems bad. Don't play this card. Ones across the board for me. Goblin Assailant. Oh, we hit our first bear. The Bare Bones Bear. It gets a 1.5 because you can put it. No, it gets like a 1. I lied. I always want to give bears 1.5s, but that just feels too good. 1.5 seems too high for a bear. You know? But I think that's the going rate for a bear. Like a 1.5, right? Like, it's complete filler, but it's not good. I like how I spent like twice as long as on a random 2/2 for 2 than the finale. Okay, Goblin Assault Team, red and 3, 4/1 haste. When it dies, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. This card doesn't seem terrible. I think I might give this a 2. Maybe a 2.5. No, not giving it 2.5. That 0.5 seems like too much, but I mean, this is always going to, sorry, I shouldn't say always, but this is frequently going to, you know, eat a removal spell / trade away with something your opponent has, and then it just has a little bit of upside. Just a little bit of upside. Grim Initiate, red for a 1/1 first strike. When it dies, amass 1. Is this constructed playable? Would this be played in a red deck? Almost, but probably not. Almost, but probably not. Limited, still don't like this card. Still think it's really bad. It's just not good enough value. I mean, this is as much value as you can expect from a 1 mana 1/1, but Oh, aristocrats. Aristocrats could be good. Oh my god, Amazonian with the 420 raid. Oh my god, 420 exactly. Thanks, Amazonian. The 420 person exactly. Nice. All right, nice. Heartfire, red and 1, instant. As an additional cost, sacrifice a creature or planeswalker, deals 4 damage to any target. Ooh, interesting. Could we see this in the Aristocrats deck in Constructed? Yes, very, very, very possibly. And this is at least... No, I think this is like a 3 in Limited. Really? Instant any target is pretty good. In Limited, it's just a good rate. 4 damage to any target for 2 mana, instant speed. Like, you're going to find a use for this. Obviously, yes, you have to sacrifice a creature or planeswalker, but it shouldn't be hard. There are plenty of creatures that you want to sacrifice, it seems like, in this format, so I think this is worth. You don't want to run too many of these, but I think the first one is worthy of a 3. Honor the God Pharaoh, red and 2, sorcery. Additional cost, discard a card. Draw 2 cards, amass 1. That's not bad. Honestly, that's not bad. I don't think it's going to have constructed viability at all, but I think this is a good card. I think I'm going to give it a 2.5. Just decent all around. Yeah, I guess it's Tormenting Voice and you pay 1 mana for a 1/1. Well, okay, you sold me. You sold me on a 2. I wouldn't rate the Tormenting Voice very highly, so yeah, you sold me. I'm gonna give it a 2. I think it looks better to me than it actually is. Is that an L? Ilharg the Razeboar, red 3, 6/6 trample. Whenever it attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. Return that creature to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. When it dies or is put into exile, you may put it into its owner's library 3rd from the top. Huh. How much constructed viability does this have? It seems good. I'm gonna give it like a 3.5 in constructed. This feels busted in limited though. Again, I don't have 5, and I don't think I would give this a 5 anyways. But this is the highest I can give in limited. Ratings out of 5. Actually 4.5. No, Muldrifter's not a 4.5. Muldrifter's like a 4 or a 3.5. Right. That seems about right. Doesn't this seem like it's the same power level in limited as Liliana? Okay, maybe not, but yeah, I think honestly, I'm giving it a 4.5. For something to be 5, it has to be like colorless or very easily splashable, which this isn't and Lily isn't, for the record. Or it has to come down so early and warp the game. So, if something is truly a 5, I think I would give it a 5, but I'm confident giving this a 4.5 unlimited. Constructed, I might be overvaluing it, but Invading Manticore, red and 5, 4/5, amass 2. That's not terrible. It's expensive, but it's not bad. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. It's perfectly decent, so we give it a 2.5. Jaya, Venerated Fire Mage, red and 4, 5 loyalty. If another red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals that much damage +1 to that permanent or player instead. Deals 2 damage to any target. Too expensive for constructed. It's pretty good. Well, honestly, is it though? 5 mana for 2 damage, 2 damage. I don't think she's that good. She's solid, but she's not like broken. It makes all of your other red permanents though decent. She doesn't do 3 damage. It says if another red source. It's 5 for potentially 2 shocks, but it also bolsters all of your other red creatures and whatnot. So, I think I'm fine giving her a 2.5. That seems entirely accurate. Jaya's Greeting, on the other hand, red and 1 instant, deals 3 damage to target creature, scry 1? Dude, this is probably well, there have been a lot of random red spells that are constructed viable. I guess that other burn spell that I rated in constructed is worse than this. This is very good. This is very good. This is better in constructed than the burn spell, and I gave that other burn spell a way too high. Obviously, it only hits creatures, but it's still great. I'm happy giving it a 3 and a 3.5, I think. Yeah, Jaya's Greeting is better than Jaya. Yeah, it is. It's cheaper, it's instant. And even though Jaya's still good and limited, she's not Jaya's Greeting good. What the? I didn't realize Krenko was reprinted. Tin Street Kingpin. Red 2, 1/2. Whenever it attacks, put a 1/1 counter on it, then create a number. Oh, that card's kind of sweet. Man, I really want this to be good and constructed, although it's 3 mana for a 1/2 baseline. God, I want this card to be good. If they don't deal with it, it gets out of control so fast, and it attacks as a 2/3, right? It is worse than War Boss, but you don't want to build around Krenko and just have a bunch of combat tricks and then you never draw Krenko or whatever, or they just have a kill creature effect. I want to give Krenko a 3.5, but I think that's way too high. Dang. I mean, there will be games in Limited where you immediately lose to Krenko because you don't have a removal spell and they immediately they Jaya's Greeting the first creature you play afterwards, right? But I think generally it's not going to be good. It just has the potential to get out of control. No. It's a 2/3 that poops out. Oh yeah. That number of 1/1 red goblin creature tokens equal. Yeah, but remember it has to survive, so I'm giving it a 3. I think 3 is fine. These will be going up on YouTube, yeah. The potential to go out of control, but the fact that it starts off as a 3 mana 1/2, so I don't know. Anyways, red 1 Mizium Tank, a 3/2 trampling vehicle. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it becomes an artifact creature and gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Also, it has crew 1. Don't think we'll be seeing any vehicles in standard very soon again. This isn't bad. The crew being 1 and the fact that it automatically turns into a creature and gets a little bit of a buff when you cast a non-creature spell, I don't think it's terrible. I think it's better than your average 3-drop creature. Probably not by much, but it's a cool card, for sure. No, I don't think it's better than a 2.5. You don't have to crew if you cast a non-creature spell. Nahiri's Stoneblades, red and 1, instant, up to 2 target creatures, each get +2/+0 until end of turn. These type of pump effects are usually not good. If it also gave first strike, sure, it would be a good trick. No, I don't think this is a decent trick. I think this is a kind of a bad trick. Just a power boost, not good enough. So, gonna give it a 1 at tops. Naheb, Dreadhorde Champion, red 2. 5/4 Trampler for 4. That's already pretty good. When it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, you may discard any number of cards. If you do, draw that many cards and add that much red. Ooh. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps. Oh man, this card is sweet. Will we see this in red decks? We might actually see it in some constructed decks. In limited, the base rate alone, I'm happy giving this a 4. I don't think it's 4.5 level. Certainly not, but it's definitely a good one. Yeah, I like it. It could be like a 3.75, sure, but it looks good overall. 2.5 and a 4 from me. Raging Crunch. This is Ember Beast, but with the inverse power and toughness. I don't think these cards are all that good. I'm gonna give it a 2. I feel like a 3/4 would actually be better. Oh, it just can't attack alone. You're right. You're right. It can block. It can block. All right. I'm a little bit more comfortable giving this a 2. Well, I'm gonna give it a 2.5. Even still, it feels like a stretch. It does block, and yes, it trades very well, but it's still prohibitive. I'm gonna give it a 2.5, and I think that is a little bit of a stretch. You're hearing echo? There shouldn't be any echo. Is anybody else hearing echo? You're the first person to say that, but Samet's Sprint, red, instant. Target creature gets +2/+1 and gains haste until end of turn. Scry 1. This is like a 1. Maybe a 1.5 if I'm feeling generous, but I don't think it's all that good. The haste is normally not good enough. The scry maybe puts it over to a 1.5. But yeah, not great. Sarkin the Masterless, red 3, 5 loyalty. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, each dragon you control deals 1 damage to that creature. Oh, weird. Until end of turn, each planeswalker you control becomes a 4/4 red dragon creature and gains flying. So notably does not gain haste. -3, create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. Huh. Okay, I'm gonna give this a 2 in constructed, as it seems like it might be powerful enough. This is pretty good in limited, right? This is pretty good in limited. So you play Sarkin on 5, you poop out a dragon, and then if an opponent attacks Sarkin or you, the dragon would immediately deal extra damage. And then on the following turn, you could make Sarkin a 4/4. That's not bad. Yeah, this is pretty solid. This could be a 4 in limited, yeah. I could see that being as strong as a 4. We'll definitely end games. I'm happy with that. I don't think it's 4.5 level, but it's close. It's a good limited card for sure. All right, let's give it a 2 and a 4. Sarkin's Catharsis, red and 4. Oh man, Hot Hands! We got Hot Hands back! Instant deals 5 damage to target player or planeswalker. Sorry. Not being able to do it to a creature makes this kind of janky. It's like a slightly, well, it's a much better Lava Axe, truthfully. But it's still not very good. Just because of Hot Hands, I'll give it 1 extra little tick. And the fact that it can shoot planeswalkers, but I don't think it's a good card. You're gonna probably run this just because it can shoot the walkers. And then it has the... This is like the random upside of being able to shoot a player, but it's truly gonna be used for walkers, I think. The instant doesn't really change it on that. If it dealt it to creatures, that would be more relevant. Because if your opponent has a planeswalker, you need to kill it on your turn anyways, you know? So, Spellgorger Weird. This is the other half of that blue weird that you can see in the bottom right-hand corner of the art. 2/2 for 3. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a 1/1 counter on it. Hey, that's not too shabby. This card's got some high potential. I'm not gonna give it a 3. 3 is too high. Its base power and toughness is 2/2 for 3. Obviously, this just gets better with the number of non-creature spells you have in your deck, but again, I'm not comfortable giving it a 3. In fact, a 2.5 even seems a little bit high, in all honesty. All right. Tibalt, Rakish, Instigator. We have a 3 mana, 5 loyalty. Your opponents can't gain life. -2, create a 1/1 red devil creature token. When this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. Doesn't really seem like a card that's going to run constructed purposes, but I'm happy giving this a, oh, not a 4, a 3 in limited. I think this is fine in limited. Like maybe 3 is high, maybe 2.5 is more aligned with what it should be, but I mean, it's a 3 mana walker, so 3 mana, you get 2 1/1 devils that ping things, and if you have any proliferate, you can do it again. I think this is fine. It's definitely higher than a 2, and I don't think this is a bad card, so. Tibalt's Rager, red and 1 for a 1/2. When it dies, it deals 1 damage to any target, and it's pumpable. Could this potentially see constructed play? Probably not. I think this is decent in limited, though. I'm going to give this like a 2.5 at least. I think this is similarly powered to Tibalt. This is a good 2-drop, I think. I don't think it would be good if it just had the fire or the pump effect, but the fact that it also can ping something for 1 when it dies makes it decent. This is just a very solid 2-drop, I think. Okay, thank you. Turret Ogre, red and 3 for a 4/3 reach. When it enters the battlefield, if you control another creature with power 4 greater, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. All right, so this is a 4/3 reach for 4. Let's give it that baseline stats, because the ETB is generally irrelevant. I think a 4/3 reach for 4 is probably a 2.5 worthy card. Oh my god, yeah, wait. His head's facing this towards us. Look at his arms! Oh my god, he stretches. He definitely stretches. Alright, and that ends the red.